podcast, killing everybody, taking dog tags. Dog, this is awesome, it's Optimus Prime, and your quadrant and talking, and you got that. I was in a mind when I crafted this. The dungeon master's wrath with a dash of sick. I dash like Sonic Mad, not a pacifist, but pacifist the tracks when I'm rapping, kids. We the last of us, the master race. Take him with a master hand, it's cancerous. I hit him with the master sword, and sure I make a nice sword, but I wonder how four guys make a Triforce.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host for this lovely evening. Thank you so much for joining us live if you're out there. We go live every Monday and Wednesday at twitch.tv/T-Force podcast at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Like I said before, my name is Adam, and I'm joined by three great guys. First of all, Chira's with us.
Yes, I am.
Hi, Chira.
Hi.
DeClaude is here.
Hello.
And filling in as we work toward next week to bring in our new host, Carrot Colossus from the Oz LOL podcast.
Good morning, everybody.
What's going on, Lee?
Not much. Just sitting here. It's a brisk morning here in Busselton, in Western Australia, and I've got my brand new microphone, which is great. So, looking forward to making good use of it. And I've got it.
Sounds good.
Unfortunately, you can't see because I haven't got a webcam, but it's sitting on a massive pile of books, pretty much all my D&D books. So, I am feeling extra nerdy because I've got this huge pile of books on my desk.
Oh, you shouldn't feel that nerdy. I mean, you're doing a podcast. Really, can you get much worse than that?
No, I guess so.
And your Colossus carrot picture fill-in is suitable.
It's beautiful. I've never seen anything of quite a high caliber artistic piece in my entire life.
Yeah, I must say when I saw it, I thought the same thing. But a guy on Twitter did it, and I thought it'd be much better than my little chibi nocturne. So shout out to Gucklew Pradley. He's in Sydney, actually, apparently. So.
Oh, is he really?
Oh, he's in your neck of the
Yeah,
woods.
he said he was going to Sydney. Well,
Nice.
if by neck of the woods you mean 4,000 kilometers away, then yes,
He's
it
on
is,
the
but,
same continent.
He is on the
That's
same
all that
continent.
matters.
That
That's all that
definitely can be
matters,
said.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So, as you guys know, Carrot Colossus does host the Oz LOL podcast, and he is part of the Trinity Force network. You'll find it at trinityforcepodcast.com. So he does a fantastic job doing the Aussie news, not Aussie. Doing the
Ozzy.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
Well,
see?
yeah, whatever. Just say it like that. I'll just take it.
Wait, you don't want Aussie? Is that better than Aussie?
It is Aussie. But see, if I let you do that, then you make an idiot of yourself. In addition to the idiot you normally make of yourself.
How?
And
Because I'm
I don't
saying
have
it
to
correctly?
criticize you. I don't.
That's how you say it. It's not Oz LOL. It's Ozzy LOL, right?
Yeah, no, it's Oz, LOL.
Oh.
Well, actually, I just say Ozlol, so I haven't
Ozlol.
even picked on you that. Yeah, Ozlol.
That'll work.
Guys, go to ozlol.trinityforcepodcast.com. Check out the Oz LOL podcast. They do a
I just
great
can't
job of
criticize
three of
Adam
them.
because his ego is too sensitive and he gets mad.
And I'm trying to pimp you, and you're going to go
It's
over
a
here and
pleasure,
criticize me. So who's getting kicked off the podcast now and off my network? Who doesn't want listeners anymore?
Empty
now?
threats. That's
Hey,
all I'm
I
hearing.
got my microphone, so it's all good.
Yeah, he did. He got his $100 microphone, no problem. But if you guys haven't listened to them recently, go back. We have been working together. Actually, Lee over here is really taking it upon himself to make the podcast sound better in the couple weeks. I know some of you guys have talked about that, so it sounds like quite a bit better, and it's going to get even better sounding here shortly as each person gets a new condenser microphone. So
It
that,
will.
yes.
And it'll make my job a lot easier as well, which is good.
Right. So, there's that. If you guys want to help support the podcast and continue to, we're using your money to take care of hosting costs and everything else that may come up for the podcast, and we're going to start doing some contests. We actually have some sponsorship money that's come in from Nature Box and Audible that we're going to have a contest in the next couple of weeks to give away RP, so continue listening for that. But if you guys would like, there's two ways you guys can help out sponsoring the podcast right now. First of all is to go to tinyurl.com/tforcenature. You guys can pick up what's called a nature box. It's for about $20. You get to pick 5 to 6 different healthy snacks, and they're alternative snacks to your normal things you would eat. Like, you might go into work and, eat some Cheetos from the vending machine or whatever, but this is going to give you a chance to try something that's even better and tastes better for you. And it comes straight to your doorstep once a month for $20 a month. You sign up for it once, you help support the podcast, and you guys are getting something that's going to not only make you feel better, but taste better.
And I ordered some, and I got it, I think, yesterday, and they're almost...
Don't do what Sean does.
Yeah, they're mostly gone. I gotta
He eats the
say,
whole box in one sitting.
out of everything that I ordered, my favorite thing so far was a surprise, and it's these apple pie oat cluster things. They're like these little apple biscuits. I could eat these forever. It's like apple crack. It's so good.
Apple crack.
Right. So, guys, if you want
Damn it, I want
to.
one.
If you want to sign up for that, you're helping the podcast. If you can't afford that $20, but you would like to still donate to the podcast, tforce.trinityforcepodcast.com. There's a link on the right-hand side, a donation button. And you guys can give us any denomination of money. Again, that all helps to go to fund hosting costs, and it's just keeping the podcast going and bringing you guys a better product. That's all we're using it for. We haven't lined any of our pockets with it yet, which is fantastic. For you guys, really. Not so much for us, but for you guys. So, donate. With that said, I'm going to stand on my soapbox here for a moment and get away from news and kind of go on the Trinity Force talk. It's going to take a little bit more time than normal. But so recently, a lot of you have been asking, how can I help out the podcast? I've received email after email after email from you guys. You keep sending so much that we can't keep up with the content that you want us to produce. And every email we get says you guys do a fantastic job. I'm not even lying. Like, these guys can vouch for it. Every email we get says you guys do a fantastic job. I wish you could do more. And we'd like to get to this point where we could do the podcast 5 days a week. Obviously, that is not something that's going to happen in the immediate future. And I'm sure Lee would like to do that as well, right, Lee?
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, quit your real job, sit down and just podcast, talk about League of Legends.
Oh, yeah. My wife would love it in particular, I think.
You being home all the time, or
Yeah, being home at my computer, she'd
Locked in the
she'd
door.
be so thrilled.
right? So
Good thing we don't keep guns in Australia, because otherwise she'd be so thrilled with getting messy.
But we're looking. We are in talks with other people out there. But you guys keep sending us and telling us. You've sent in and said, "Can I help out with this? Can I help with that?" Well, here's your chance, guys. We are looking to expand the Trinity Force Network, not to more podcasts per se, but to do more for the community. We want you guys to get better at this game in every way possible. So right now we're looking at doing another day of Battle Arena, but it's going to be a specific bronze-only Battle Arena. We're looking at ways to do community games like that are 5v5 with teams being able to play each other. We're looking at ways to allow more shoutcasters to get better at this game. I have positions opening for producers. I have position opening for web designers. I have positions opening for, just everything. I can't even tell you how much room there is for this podcast to grow, and I want to hear your ideas. And if you guys want to see us succeed, we want you to help us succeed. So write in.
In other words, Adam is begging for help, people.
You know what? It's great because a ton of people have stepped up so far. Luke Kirchner, he stepped up. I mentioned him last week doing the marketing. He's been doing a fantastic job of just stepping up and really helping us get out there and get new advertising opportunities. Well, to be able to compound on those, I've had a couple web designers contact me. Now we need to make a new website. To be able to continue to do that, we need to make sign-up forms so people can sign up for Battle Arena rather than just do it the way we're doing it. We want to get more organized, right? And we want to have like a community calendar out there so you guys can see what's going on. We want to give more supplement podcasts at the end of the night. We want people to be able to just give back to some way in the community and help, launch your career into esports like we're trying to do as well. And the only way to do that is to tell us what you can do for us. So feedback at trinityforcepodcast.com. Write in. If you wrote in within the last month, this is important. If you wrote in within the last month and you said, I want to help out, write me again. I've received over 200 emails in the last 3 weeks in that inbox.
Wow.
And I can't keep up with them. I'm at the point where I just cannot keep up with the emails anymore. But keep sending your emails in because we're going to get to them. We're 100% going to get to them in some way or other. I have Jennifer Days Untold. She's been responding to emails like crazy. I've been sending her, and we're going to answer them in the podcast. Like, I'm overwhelmed with the response that we've received in the last 6 months, and I just want to make this place even better. So, that's guys. That's what's up. That's what's going on here. I need your help, and we do this for you. I don't know what else to say about that. Like,
and don't forget to preach the good word.
Yes, I was going to say that too. That's a good one. If you guys want us to continue to succeed, you need to tell every single one of your friends about Trinity Force Podcast. The only way we're going to get better is if you go out there and you tweet at the rioters and you say, guys, there's this really awesome podcast. You need to check it out. Or you tweet at your friends and say, Trinity Force talked about this last week. Or, you just need to talk to everybody and get the name out there and help us. The only way this podcast is going to grow is word of mouth. Post it on Reddit. If a show comes every week, one of you guys need to go post it on Reddit for us with some kind of like sensationalized title. I don't care how we get the name out there. Just, if you are out there and you want to see this podcast succeed, you're going to need to help us grow. And
go Adam, raising the social media army for advertising.
Right.
Hey, if we have the people to do it, why not? Let we're only as big as our fans want us to be is what it comes down to. So
Right. And if you guys have already helped out and you've told friends and family, thank you. Like, this is a heartfelt thank you for that. And like I said, this is just lasting a little longer than what a normal news segment was, but I need to put that out there. So feedback at trinityforcepodcast.com. Don't feel free to follow, the Twitter and whatnot and ask questions there, and we're going to take care of it. So I think we'll go ahead and move on into League of Legends discussion at this point. Let me take a breath.
Sounds good to me.
Why would we want to do that? I mean, what are we? Are we here to just talk about show news every single week for like an
League of
hour?
Legends?
Well, we could just start answering listener questions. And fuck patch 4.9. Like, no one cares about that, right?
clearly,
Oh my gosh, so many
all
patch
the-
notes.
nerfs and buffs and
Telling
fun
you.
stuff.
Yeah, the best part
Tom
about this
said it
is,
before, the timing
yeah,
is always great.
you really can't complain about the timing that happens with these because we get them like a day of or the day after.
Oh, I
so-
know. I can tell you that. It's always the day after we record. Thanks, right? I think there was one week. Literally, we finished the show. I jumped on Twitter and I'm like, patch notes. I'm like, damn it, you've been friggin' right.
That's what happens when you only do one show a week. So let's go in
Yeah.
here.
Oh, damn.
The number of champions have been changed in this, and there's also a change to the jungle. So what we're going to start out with is talking about the fixes to Kazakhs. We'll talk about the jungle changes while we're talking about that. We'll talk about Braum, and we might move in to talk a little about Kassadin and anything, the other little changes that might have happened in there. So let's first of all get down to Kazakhs. Right now, Kazakhs has been a problem because I don't feel like Riot knows what they're doing with balancing him. In my opinion, there's too many moving parts, and he's either going to be really good or really bad. Like, it's really hard for them to find that middle ground, and I think they're working toward it with these changes, but I don't think they're going to be enough. Like, people were calling, and I got flack on Twitter because apparently I said that Kazakhs is bad, but it was a complete and total joke, just because you see that his Q got nerfed. But let's talk about it. So Q, Taste the Fear, had a bonus an AD ratio reduction by 0.3, and it had a damage nerf. You're looking at, 15 points at level 1, 20 points at level 2, 25 points at level 3, and
35 at max.
Yep.
yeah,
35 at max.
plus the isolation damage got reduced by 15%, and the bonus AD ratio got 0.3 reduction. That right there is a giant nerf to one ability, like almost over the board, over the top.
He's declawed now.
He really is. So we'll keep talking about it. So, but to make up for that damage reduction, they changed Evolved Enlarged Claws. So now he gains 10 damage with every champion level, plus a 1.04 bonus attack damage ratio when if a target is isolated. He deals that extra damage.
To make up for that, they removed the bonus damage based on the enemy's percent missing health when he used it.
Right. The execute.
But they added a big bonus, like a 1.04 bonus ratio is huge.
Yeah. Something that gains
is
10 damage per level plus a 1.0 attack damage ratio.
If you have a fully stacked Bloodthirster, you're adding a bonus 100 damage directly to the ability.
Is that on top of the 1.2 bonus attack damage?
Yes, because the evolved
So
Q would
basically, it's
add
gone from a 1.2 to a 2.24 bonus attack ratio, which is just, absolute zero by Nunu is probably the only other ability that I can think of that's got a 200% ratio. It's just insane.
Yeah, but the difference is you have to have it. The target has to be isolated to get that damage.
Yep.
So,
Well, think about it this way: if you evolve Q, you look at the old base damage max at rank 5 was 190, plus a 45% isolation bonus damage. Look at it, max rank evolved is base 190 if it was that, 155 plus 180 plus a 1.04 bonus attack damage. So at max rank, you're going to be doing more damage, other than the execute. Full life target.
the math right now is that,
So-
and if it's not evolved, it's worth using, obviously, but it doesn't do anywhere near the damage. It got super gimped if it's not evolved, but once it's evolved and it's made it past level 6, it starts to become even larger than it did before, more quickly than it did, because of how much bonus damage
seriously,
it
who
has.
didn't evolve the Q? Like, you would always evolve Q. It was because it's such a good ability in the first place.
Right.
So
The difference is at what point you would evolve the Q, because now it doesn't
Right.
look like you're going to
That's a
evolve
good
the
point.
Q for a while.
Yep.
And we'll go ahead and move on to that. So also now his W base now deals 20% bonus damage to monsters.
So this basically
Void Spike.
makes him a
Void
much like a champion way more catered to jungling because now
That's an
you're going to be
AoE
able to
too,
clear.
so-
Yeah. Plus,
It's going to be a quick clear.
if you have the evolved one and you're doing all that extra damage straight up front to whatever's right in front of you, that it should be a very, very quick clear.
Yep. And now his evolved W still has that, now deals plus 20% damage to monsters. But if it hits a champion, it gives sight. And it also slows for 50% for 2 seconds, up from 30%.
So it actually gives a decent sort of scouting utility added to it, which is awesome because now if you W into a bush and you hit somebody, you can see if they're going to move out of the bush or if there's more than one person there or anything like that. So
It allows you to chase
adds-
him down, too, to get the
yeah.
isolation more quickly.
Yep, it definitely allows the extra ability to hunt something down just with the pretty, like 20% increase on a slow is quite a bit.
Yeah, and for
it
cheeky
also gives you-
tactics, as Joe Miller would say, you could shoot over a wall for a buff, golem, or even just to reveal Baron real quick.
But
Kha'Zix, if
it
you
only
don't have a
only does
ward-
it if it hits champions.
Oh, if it hits well, okay. Hopefully you hit the champion if they're on it.
Yeah.
So
Lee, did
you'll
you-
see it, then you know they're on there. Someone's over there. You can choose whether you want to jump over or not.
Right.
But I mean, you do get the 20% bonus anyway, so it may make it
Yeah,
easier to
that's the
steal a
thing,
red
it's-
buff or a blue buff or something like that.
Right.
Its base damage is already pretty good. So now it's even better. So which is good because I guess back last season when Manamuno was a huge thing and you just always took W because you just did so much crazy damage and they really nerfed that, and so there wasn't really wasn't as good an ability to evolve. When now it's 50% slow plus 20% bonus attack damage to monsters is pretty nice.
Right. So with that said, I'm moving this because I actually have a big point that I want to make about Kha'Zix, but we have to talk about everything that's changed. His evolved active camouflage, so when you evolve his R, it no longer grants 50% damage reduction on stealth. I know that was a big point of contention in the LCS with diving turrets, and they removed it from turrets when they realized he's still too tanky in team fights for being an assassin.
So all it
completely
does
not
now
bad.
is give him one extra use, right?
And
Yes.
a little bit longer stealth.
And a little bit longer. Okay. 2 seconds instead of 1, right?
Which is great. I actually think this is the best change because if you think about stealth champions, generally their pattern
be
of
the
play, like
assassin.
someone like Akali is, especially for stealth. If you spot them, they're vulnerable. So that's Evelyn's whole thing. That's Akali's whole thing. I guess to an extent Twitch's as well, but not to the same extent.
Sure.
But basically, if you catch them out, they're vulnerable. But Kha'Zix, unlike all the other ones, he was actually tougher when he was
When he
invisible.
was
So
stealth.
there's almost no point trying to find him because you're not going to do, and you might do a little damage, but you can't punish him for being caught out. Where now, if you actually catch him out, it's going to make him really vulnerable, which is great.
Well, and another piece of that is a champion with that much mobility doesn't exactly need a giant damage reduction anyway, just because they can get in and out pretty easily.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to
anyway.
jump in and be tanky like that in a fight and do that much damage at the same time.
Exactly.
But so right now, the way I'm looking at this new Kha'Zix is that I think he's going to be a fantastic solo queue jungler, and I'm going to tell you why. And that's because if you also look down later in the patch notes, they made it so that the minions and monsters in the jungle no longer grant extra experience if a champion is behind on levels. So now this has turned Kha'Zix into a counter jungling monster, in my opinion, because you're doing 20% extra damage to minions, meaning you're being able to take those minions more quickly, and he's still getting the isolation damage off Q. While not a lot, you're doing more damage than you would if you were in a team fight. So that gives you that extra time, and you have a slow if you hit W right on the person after you've already cleared the camp. So you have time for somebody to respond and kill the enemy jungler if they respond to you counter jungling, or you have time to get out with an E. His kit works very well for him to get in, counter jungle, and get out. He can, I think, with a couple points in W, and especially in the evolved W, he can take out an entire wraith camp in one W. It's like a W Q auto attack, and the wraith camp is gone.
No,
Yeah,
his current kit, at least with the changes, seems like it's a perfect counter jungle kit, and it's just with the changes to the jungle anyway. If you can get the enemy jungler behind, they are even way more behind than they were up until this recent patch.
Right.
Now they're not going to get any of that bonus XP to catch up back into the game. If you put them back, they're going to stay back if you can keep kind of shoving them out of their jungle. They don't get that little parachute of, hey, I'm behind, I can catch up because the new jungle is way nicer to me. It's not as easy anymore.
Yeah, that's going to be a
And, I mean-
nightmare when you're counter jungled, just trying to catch up. A lot more
and just the
taxing
fact
going
that
on.
if he catches you, you are dead. Like with that evolved Q, like that's crazy amounts of damage. Like you just, I don't think there's probably anybody who can withstand that level of damage at level 6. I mean, really, it's at level 6 you can take it, and I mean, it's going to be a real nightmare to. And then, you know, if he's a good counter, I mean, good counter junglers, they're always in there, so you're constantly paranoid. You're just going to find this bug who's just going to chunk you for all of your life, and then slow you, and then you can't get away because there's no bush you can hide in because, you know, if he evolves the W, it's just it's
you don't
gonna be
even
very,
need-
very frustrating.
So I want to point out one thing to everybody out there right now that is listening, that this podcast has a fantastic reputation of telling you how to play champions. Within the last 2 champion reworks, we have told you exactly how to play them when they came out. I'm tooting my own horn right now. This is happening. And we told you exactly how to play them when they came out, and both those builds have seen play somewhere and have been amazing. Like Rengar with Tiamets and Last Whisper and Brutalizer is now like the build you build on him, and he just goes fucking ham and kills somebody. And Kassadin building, you know, like a Rise, like we called that. People play Kassadin that way. Anyway, with that said, right now, what I think the way that Kha'Zix is going to be built, if he's playing in mid lane, for example, he can build. You're going to build straight AD. You're no longer going to go for those armor pen builds. I think the tier is back on him early into a Manamune, into straight Bloodthirst, like a Bloodthirster or maybe a Brutalizer if you're a little bit down on money. But you're going to build him with more AD and more burst damage than you did before. And that Manamune has now come back into his inventory because of that evolved W.
With Sean, that was always in his inventory.
Damn right. I love the tier.
That's his-
I love that item on champions that can spam abilities. Abuse it. It's the best.
Right. But, I just have to say, I really do think tier is going to be, if you play him in lane, that is going to be what you're gonna build. I think you could do you think you could do like the Mad Stone on him if you were counter jungling?
You could. It's just.
Do you think it'd just be better doing Spirit of the Elder Lizard?
Yeah, I would definitely say Spirit of the Elder Lizard's better
Just with
just
the flat
because.
AD. The
It's
ratios,
for
yeah.
the flat AD, but the thing with Kha'Zix, he's not necessarily that guy who's just standing there auto-attacking you anyway. He's there moving around, queuing you, and basically doing a bunch of damage and then either following up on you to kill you or jumping away to either lure you into
Sure.
somebody else or to get out of the fight because somebody else is coming to join that could screw up his day. So when you're playing Kha'Zix, you're not necessarily wanting to build anything that's sort of like a sustained sort of long-term, I'm going to be fighting something for more than 5 seconds kind of build.
That's where like BT comes into play. To
Yeah,
get that
exactly.
extra damage.
You want that upfront, burst somebody in the face, like blow your load and then get out. That's all you want to do
So-
because if you sit around there too long, especially after the damage reduction removal on his ult, he's going to be much squishier in those kind of situations anyway.
We know evolving Q is a must, and looks like W here. So what do you say, E or R? Which one do you
E.
evolve?
E.
E, so you can get the double jump.
Yep.
And then
I think you
It's
should
the
do.
distance
deal
on the
with the
jump
two
as well.
stealths.
I think E should always be evolved second, almost always. I think W should be evolved first
Out of the jungle.
out of the jungle, and maybe
Yep,
mid
jungle.
lane at the same time, like to allow for that extra clear to allow you to roam. Like this brings Kha'Zix back to season 3 Kha'Zix, honestly.
Well,
See,
no,
evolving
just
his
so you
W
know,
though doesn't.
it's monsters only, not minions.
Sure, but we've talked about in the past why you would still evolve W. They didn't change
Right,
any of the
right,
damage
right.
on it,
Yep.
right?
Right.
Yeah, no, it's same damage, but the when you evolve the W, it doesn't increase the bonus damage to monsters. So it
Right,
just gives you
right.
that line of sight and the extra slow, which is good. See, I guess I'm still
Well,
thinking
and
that R
you-
is still
you-
worth taking because of the being able to proc the unseen threat, his passive, each time you go into stealth in a team fight. So I mean, I still think that R is probably not a bad pickup. Getting an extra 2 seconds of stealth is, especially for repositioning, is pretty handy. And so I mean, I think there's still a choice in there between W and R, but definitely want to take Q and you definitely want to take E because the resets is what.
Yeah,
is
you
what
can't
makes
give
them
up
so
that reset.
horrid. No, you can't. You just
Well,
I mean,
it-
any champ that has a reset, you use
it's
it.
it's not even just the reset too. It's that extra distance makes
Oh, the
all the
distance.
difference in escaping or catching up to get that one kill that would help you snowball later on in the game.
It's like bunny hopping when it's not evolved. It's fucking
Yeah, yeah.
stupid.
Yep,
It is.
it's a little skip.
Like the old PvE Panthol.
Yeah, the tiny little one. Yeah, like I'm helping. I can't get to you. But yeah, I definitely want to see people playing him out of the jungle now as a counter jungler rather than an assassin that can dive, or like an initiating assassin. Now he is an assassin in I'd say almost every term of the word when it comes to League of Legends.
And he should be played
Which is
like
good.
one.
Yeah.
So
It's good that they've clarified what his role is, that he's not some sort of weird assassin bruiser, that he's actually an assassin and he should be played as an assassin. And if you catch him out as an assassin, he's going to die. I think
Unless he
that's-
isolates you and he duels the crap out of you because
Yeah, you don't want to get isolated by this guy. I just think of Black Enola with his TLDR patch notes a couple of goes ago where he had the Snow White running away saying, this is isolated Kazakhstan. I just think of that, and it's going to be even worse now that his Q is so just friggin' nasty. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's got a
but at least he doesn't have an
200%
Alistar
AD
ult anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
well,
That's
there
true.
it goes. Yeah, sorry. If you're not watching live, you miss out a lot of stuff. You missed Cheery eating the entire time, and you missed my camera going out of focus because I moved. But yeah, I think that's Kazakhs in a nutshell. Build a tier, play him out of the jungle, or play him mid and build a tier, and then it's just some damage. So TLDR, Kazakhs, play him.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Braum. Braum, in the patch, they actually say it's tough to pinpoint the strength of a new champion while also accounting for how quickly players adapt. And Braum was picked up very quickly as a strong lane bully with his combined high damage and defensive power. That's the first line of what they said. And we've talked about on the podcast where he can be a lane bully, he can be countered, but at the same time, he can be bullied around in lane. But he definitely needed some kind of nerfs because anybody who could pop a shield that reduces damage on top of your resistances that you gain by standing behind somebody, or standing behind somebody, that's kind of overpowered. You know what I'm saying? You're reducing damage by 40% plus all the extra armor that you have on the character as you're eating the damage. So he needed some kind of tune-ups or fixes. And Riot has done this by reducing his base attack damage by 3, down from 56 to 53. The pass of the concussive blows, and now it no longer stuns individuals when they have spell shields up.
So you can kind of time it to get out of there if you're Sivir or...
So that
I
Sivir,
never-
Nocturne.
Oh, what about
Morgana.
Morgana?
I don't think it ever stunned black shielded targets, though.
I don't think it did either. I didn't realize it stunned anybody with their shield up because when Morgana had, I just stopped trying. So I was like, it's gonna stun them. Why would I keep auto attacking? Like switch.
I'm pretty sure if you still manage to hit them before they put the black shield on, you can still stun them. I think.
Yeah,
Even
absolutely.
if they put it on after the fact?
Oh yeah, they'd be stunned.
Yeah, no,
It doesn't remove status effects. So if they're stunned and then they get the shield, it wouldn't remove the stun.
No, I mean if they get the shield, like he hits them, it applies a passive. Then they get the black shield. He's hit 3 more times.
it shouldn't stun them.
Now it won't for sure. I don't know if
Yeah,
it did
now
before.
it's-
Yeah,
I don't
now
think it.
definitely
I
won't.
don't think it did before.
I don't
But
think it did
yeah.
either. But whatever.
Anyway,
Winter's bite base damage reduced by quite a bit. And I think this is really good. I actually thought they might. I actually
Just
thought they
20
should
damage
increase
rank.
which is really cool for early because that extra 20 damage is quite a bit in the early game because you can go really ham at level 1 and 2 with him. If especially if you hit level 2, because right now the bottom lane is all about hitting level 2 before the other person or trying to hit level 2 at the same time, and reducing 20 damage pretty much across the board. It just puts his power more in line with anybody in that early game. I thought they should have increased the cooldown to Winter's Bite, but
yeah, I think it's too
Well-
low as well.
He can run himself out of mana by spamming it, though. He had the poke of a poke support with the durability of a durability support. So they're defining his role a little bit better here with this, and I'm okay with it. As a Braum fan, I can deal with this little nerf.
yeah,
It's the
I
stand
don't
behind me
think it-
nerf that I don't really like too much.
I like the stand behind me nerf because I think it gave him too much armor. Like I was saying before, when you pop up that Unbreakable and it's doing 40% reduced damage plus blocking the first CC that comes to it. If you have right now, it's been dropped by what it looks like 5 across the board through every level.
Yep.
Yeah, so 5% of everything, just about 5 or 4%. It's there, it's got some waning numbers in there. There's like 2 and 3% here and there, but they've pretty much
About
just
5,
nerfed
yeah.
it across the board so you gain less armor and magic resist, which I think is fine because for how little stand behind costs and how often you can spam it, it's one of those abilities that gives Braum too much power with Unbreakable up. I think it benefited Braum more than it benefited the AD carry.
Well, yeah, you use it. You can even use it on yourself if your AD carry is nowhere near you,
Right.
to give you that extra resistance. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I guess 5 resistance isn't too bad.
Well,
He still gets all the bonus MR and the bonus armor from the ratio. So it's still, I mean, it's okay. Maybe at level 1 it probably takes a bit out, or level 2 it takes a bit out, but overall it's not a huge nerf. Considering that he's still going to build health, he's still going to build MR and
and his Q is still going to be doing awesome damage. The more life you build, the more damage the Q does, and you're still you have more of an active role in team fights where you are stunning more than one person or helping to stun more than one person. So you could remove more of his power from his kit. I think people would still play him because of how good his passive is. Combined
I think they should have
with
actually
Unbreakable.
increased the mana cost on his Q, because I think he can spam it, and I think that's a problem. I think it should be more timed, more deliberate of when he actually uses it. Because I mean, when I play Braum, which isn't that often, but when I play against other Braums, they're just constantly using it, and it doesn't actually cost that much. So it's got a pretty good range. So
I always run myself out of mana in lane using Q.
Okay.
So
I don't think
Maybe it's just me.
I've really run out of mana. I'm gonna look it up right here.
but I bounce all over the
Winter's
place with
Bite
W.
costs 55 mana at level 1.
And you have what, 250? So you can use it.
yeah, 235.
235 plus 45 a level.
So you can hit maybe 8 times in lane with the normal regen if you're not building.
Look
regen.
at somebody like Blitzcrank
a
who can
lot.
only do it twice.
Yeah,
3 times now, right?
Yeah.
3 times. Yeah.
and considering how low the cooldown still is, like it's still on a pretty
Well,
low cooldown.
I say just for the base mana, 4 or 5, but I'm just saying
it's
with
a
some
it's
regen.
it's a 10-second cooldown. You're probably going to walk in lane with it being an 8-second cooldown with all, because you start the game with 15-20% CDR as it is, and you're going to walk into it sitting at about 8 seconds, and it's going to get down to under 6 seconds, just under, and at that point the mana cost is completely negligible. Even at level 3, when it's at 8 seconds and below that, it's about 6 seconds at level 3, and it's completely
But you
negligible.
can't compare it to Blitz because you're not harassing with his Q. Otherwise,
No.
oh my God.
That would be funny though if you could do
If it had
that.
the cooldown.
No,
yeah.
but you can. We talked about him before, where
got
he's
Penny and
kind
Red.
of like a Alistar. An Alistar, you can only do your combo twice in a lane. That's 2 abilities to use.
But
Through all of his costs,
that's horrible. That's why nobody plays Alistar.
Right, but that's why they're playing Braum, because stand
Except
behind
for
me.
Aframu, who dominated.
Yeah.
So if anything, they need to increase Alistar's or
Okay.
decrease Alistar's mana cost.
Well, look at this. Winter's Bite, 55 mana at level 1. Stand behind me, 30 mana at level 1. Unbreakable, 30 mana at level 1. With almost you'll have over 300. You'll have 350 mana by the time you get all 3 of those. You can spam every one of those abilities pretty much the entire time you're in lane and not go with the extra mana regen you get from the utility tree. Like that's what's really a problem with him right now.
And I think the thing with Winter's Bite though is it creates a window of opportunity where literally like 2 seconds later, metaphorically, literally, 2 seconds later. It's a joke from before the show started. 2 seconds later, you can be stunned, and then you could be very close to dead. So I think the problem with Winter's Bite, well, firstly, the slow is 70% from level 1, which is a really good slow. And I don't know if they need to change that. I think it probably would be it's not a bad idea to think about scaling the slow up from level 1 to 5, just because 70% is a really strong slow at level 1, but it creates that window of opportunity, and every time you get hit by it, you have to be worried about whether you're going to die or not, because it's such a powerful. It proxies passive, which is an incredibly powerful passive. So I mean that's why I think the timing of Winter's Bite needs to be more specific. It needs to sort of be, rather than just spamming it and doing it just because you can. And there should actually be more of a, okay, I'm going to use, it's a bit more like a Blitzcrank hook, where it's, I'm going to do it because I want to set up an opportunity to create a kill in the lane.
But the only difference is you land a Blitzcrank hook, you're good.
Sure.
You land a concussive blows, they
Yeah.
can back away, and there's plenty
it
of
out.
counterplay to that. And it's also, sometimes I've seen it when my partner marksman will get baited because I'll hit someone with concussive blows, and I'm just doing it to harass, but they're like, oh, I got to hit him 3 times, and they're taking minion aggro, they're running all the way back, and so
Maybe
used
not
properly,
Blitzray
it's
Hook.
good, but
Maybe Zenith Blade from Leona is probably a better.
I still think the best way to really compare. Honestly, I think still the best way to compare him is Alistar, just because of what he can do. But no, it's with how much mana you can use and what it brings to the team. Like Alistar can walk up to somebody, Q, and pop you back. Braum could walk up to somebody, pop him once, can concussive blows, pop him again, and by that time the ADC's made him back up, and they've been stunned. And that's about the same amount of time that an Alistar is going to be able to walk up and do his whole combo. But again. Yeah. Well, going back to the entire thing here, it's still a big mana cost issue to be able to spam all these abilities. You're slowing and doing damage off of your max life. So you're going to run, you're not going to run armor seals. You're going to run max life seals. Stand behind is cost 30 mana to give extra bonus and magic armor and magic resistance has now been nerfed, which is good. And unbreakable, reducing 40% damage on top of your own resistances for only 30 mana. Like, that's my problem. It's like you get so much out of this kit for so little mana.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just increase Winter's Bite to maybe another 10 mana, maybe another 15 would make it pretty expensive, but maybe another 10 mana, then it's a little less spammable. You're going to think about it a little bit more, and I think that would just kind of moderate his presence in lane, which, I mean, yeah, his presence to begin with is not overwhelming.
I think you have a good point where it's not the same to Claude. I think you do have a good point here where Braum is not allowed to engage as hard as all these other people are, but having an ability, in my opinion, having an ability like Winter's Bite that's such low mana and that can be spammed and is doing percent max life even when you hit them is, a little bit overpowered. Yeah, in a way it offsets it.
yeah. Well, I want to see how these nerfs, if they pull them out of banned prison with these nerfs right here, with this adjustment, then I'll be happy. But if not, then I could go with something like Lee's saying, where add another 10 mana to Winter's Bite, and maybe that'll pull him out of banned prison, so I can play him more, because I can never play him. Damn it, he's always banned.
That's funny. I never ban him. I just let people pick him for the most part.
You said ban prison, and that would make such a good skin for him. He just goes around with prison bars. Oh my!
He's got the prison door with the little window and the bars in it.
So
I would love it. I'd love it to get the
is actually a great
chains
idea.
off his wrists. Have you ever seen like the Cody skin from Street Fighter 4? Yeah. Well, Cody he has the prison chains from the shackles.
Or
I
like
want
the
that
Warwick
skin
Pharaoh
so
Warwick
bad
has
now.
that.
Yeah, Pharaoh Warwick has them. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, good call. But yeah, that's Braum's patch. We'll see we'll have to see how he plays out. I don't think it's enough, but I think pretty much.
He's still really powerful.
It's not deterring me from playing him, that's for sure. 20 damage, I'm not hitting him for the damage, so.
Yeah, exactly. You want him for that movable wall that soaks up everything.
Exactly, yep. And plus, 5 MR reduction, that's 1/3 of a cloth armor. Big deal.
Yeah, nothing. I just want to point on again that we don't really have to talk about it, but the jungle did get changed in this patch where it no longer gives additional experience based on their level. So that's something that everyone needs to keep in mind. If you're a jungler and you've DC'd, you're not going to get back into the game as quickly as you did before. You're going to have to spend as much time as everybody else laners to get back into the game.
It won't take 5 minutes to get back up to being just as strong as somebody else. It's going to take 20.
Yeah.
By the way, here's just one more point on the mana cost thing. Blitz and Alistar. They are not... Well, Blitz is fun to play because you land that Q. It's all worth it. But Alistar... The part of the fun of playing this game is using the abilities your champion has. And if you can't use your abilities, it's no fun. You can't spam your E. You got to really make a decision when to use it or not. And you're just kind of hanging around soaking up your your coin gold. But Braum is really fun to play. So is Leona, because her mana costs aren't bad at all. Because you can spam the abilities pretty much and still be useful. So I think they mentioned something about the fun of playing a champion and the ability to use the abilities in a prior patch. When
Or
I think when they adjusted Blitz's mana, I think they mentioned that. So
Or to even feel like your abilities are doing something meaningful as well. So
right. So I think part of just the fun of the game, you can't really make things cost too much mana, or there goes that champion.
Well,
there
at least
goes
you
the
can't
fun
do it with
factor.
really good abilities. I mean, the thing with Alistar is his abilities are just so good, and he just has such a massive impact that if they were to, tune back the mana cost, there's just no way. Like they just have to. It just end up being permabanned because he's just too good. So
I have an Alistar rune book, which is nothing but mana and MP5. That's it.
I'm sorry. That seems kind of silly. If I wish Dom was here so Dom could tell you how much fun Alistar is.
That's my Alistar rune book. That
you
way
know-
I have fun with him.
What? Okay, so you know what's funny? We have Carrot on this week. Carrot is a support main. You're a Leona main. And Jen, Days Untold, who's going to join with us next week, is a support main as well. And I believe hers is Zyra. So all
Everybody
three have had
likes
something
somebody
different. Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We had an Alistar, Leona, and a Zyra.
Yeah.
So I know it's
I
funny.
like Braum, but I'm not a support main.
And what does Mitch play? He's his
He plays
favorite.
Thresh.
Yeah, okay.
Is Thresh his main? Because it's kind of iffy. Like,
I don't know. He plays Thresh in like every game I see him in, and if he's not playing Thresh, he's playing Karma.
Maybe he's just practicing.
yeah.
Thresh is OP as hell. He's a must pick. So
I'm not trying to take anything away from his. Thresh is pretty good.
yeah.
Actually, he needs. You know what's not good about Cereal Box's Thresh is his W's. His W's need a little bit of work because he's like, I should have pulled you in.
Oh, I mess up. His
Yeah.
foot.
Oh my God! There's new skins coming out. Goalkeeper Malachi, Primetime Draven, Superfan Gragas, Striker Lucian, and Red Card Twisted Fate for the World Cup.
Oh, nice.
You guys heard it right here. This is
Oh, wow.
this is
Breaking news.
breaking
Trinity
news.
podcast.
Just imagine what they look like.
This is happening. I'm buying
You know what,
every one of
Nate?
those skins.
When I
Red
flay
Card
with
Twisted
Thresh,
Fate.
I flay perpendicular to my target because I swing the mouse and it's like, whoop, I'll flay across.
And
instead of
Sweeper Alistar. Oh, Dom, I hope you're listening, because buddy, you just got a new skin. All right, let's go ahead and move
That's
on to the next piece here.
They got a VU on the table for him too, by the way.
It's on Twitter, by the way. Mubi just tweeted it. If you want to know where to find it. So
Yeah, there's no. It's just
movie Twitter.
yeah, movie.
Yep.
All right, what else do we need to talk about in the patch notes? Pantheon
you
getting
mentioned-
a change.
that's
Well,
okay.
Panth was more like a bug fix because it didn't happen before they did his little fix, But since they did that little fix, he was targetable while he was in the air, which is horrible. You can get killed by a turret before you even landed. And so now, pretty much what they did
It's
is
kind of funny.
they got rid of that. Yeah, it's like the turret's anti-aircraft machine gun, flak
Yeah.
while he's flying in the air. Not anymore. And he now pops projectiles that are in flight towards him as he leaps off the screen, which I don't think he did before. So that's a new thing.
No.
It's called manly jumping. So
New manly jumping. That's nice.
it's not like you can time it because you got that little channel time before you jump, but I guess it's kind of cool if Nid Spear's coming at you and you leap off the screen, then it'll pop the spear.
Morgana Q or something, right as it happens to go into that bush that you're sitting in
Right.
and stops you while you're in midair.
That could stop. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? And that stuff just before this patch would persist while you were in the air. So you'd be stunned while you're in the air, and you'd come down stunned in a cocoon or something, and it was
It's bullshit.
so.
Yeah,
So they
it's
fixed
pretty
that. That's pretty much all they did. Is they fixed that bug. So
Carrot,
it's not a buff. It's just a fix.
it's kind of a buff. It's a buff fix.
Well,
it's
it's
a
a fix.
fix buff. It's kind of like that Malachi change. It's a buff
It's like
nerf
the-
or whatever.
It's like the Volibear. They call it a Vola buff. This Buff-a-Bear, whatever they call it. With Rolling
Damn
Thunder.
it, DeClaude.
But all they did, well, these are their words, by the way.
Well, I know,
You could
but
say that you're on a roll.
But this,
Yeah.
oh wow, Rolling Thunder. But they fixed the bug where his target would not be thrown the proper distance if the throw's end position was inside of a wall or a crowd of other units. So, I don't know.
you could
I
say
had
we
to-
barely talked about that on the podcast. So let's move
Oh,
on.
look at that. All right. Anyway. But that's a bug fix, not a buff.
So what would you call Kazakh's changes? It's not really a bug fix, is it?
Bug splat.
Oh, it's a bug fix.
yeah.
Is a bug splat what happens when Kazakh's lands with a Z?
That's it.
It kills you.
Only if he gets shot out of the sky with a by the turret.
When
Okay.
Ziggs ults
Yes.
Kazakhstan
Turret
kills
kills
him, is it a bug bomb?
We're showing DeClaude up now, and he's feeling
Yep.
he's not too happy
I am proud. Like,
Thanks,
like-
Dad.
if my son beats me at Mortal Kombat, I'm proud.
until he kicks his ass later.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Carrot. Before this, you had something you want to talk about. What do you want to do? Soraka, Rumble.
Oh, I just going to mention Kassadin. Just that they've basically they're taking back all the changes they made to him after he came out, and people cried, and
Yeah.
before they'd realize, hey, he's actually really good. You just don't know how to play him, so stop crying. And that's
They-
what
they
maybe
nerfed
the
his
strategy
W.
that Riot should have in the future.
So they nerfed
Right,
Netherblade.
When they're crying
Yeah.
about the nerfs.
and they move back the movement speed. But I mean, it's basically moving back to where he was after they reworked him. So I just think it's one of those things where the community just needs to learn to grow up and not be such crybabies.
The community screaming about Rengar and like, oh, the new Rengar sucks. Oh, he's terrible, and now he's fucking amazing.
He's the same Rengar that he was. It's just you have to do something kind of different. Oh no. Oh no, different build path, same end result.
I'm just kind of enjoying that we've got this brief break in Gragas play after all this Gragas we've seen, and before they realize that actually he's actually insane with the amount of damage he does. It's just you don't play him as like long range nuking mid. So once they realize the damage on that,
I saw him picked on pretty much every LCS match prior to that patch where he changed. So
yeah, but I think he'll come back because I tell you what, 12% max health damage is nothing to be sniffed at.
And all that CC.
Yep.
All that damn CC. So.
And then we're just going to see endless Gragas all over again, which is going to be more annoying.
That's a champion.
Base Lee, please. Base Lee, please.
Yeah, all right. Whatever you say.
So that Volibear buff is really actually a nerf because now he's going to throw better.
That's probably a good thing for him. You know what? Not like TSM. Not like TSM needs the help. Oh, shots
Watching
fired.
the Glebe Glarbu play with the flash, wrong direction Q, wrong direction Flay. Just, I regret ever picking him for my fantasy team.
Hey, I listened to Optimus Tom about taking guys from Roccat, and that's not working out very well for me. So
yeah,
Optimus Tom suck.
Optimus Tom, you could suck your Roccat picks. We went through Declawed stuff today and help him fix some things.
Keep an overpow though.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Keep that overpow.
I've got overpow pride.
I hope you start overpower against Optimus Tom.
Oh, I will.
When you play him.
I will. I don't care how shitty he does.
And
he still loses.
All right. I think that's pretty much everything for patch notes. They just reverted some of the Soraka nerfs or changed them back a little bit because they felt like they took too much power away from her, which is fine.
And Woad Scout Quinn coming soon.
Woo! Everybody's so excited for a Quinn.
Yeah. In for a champ that nobody plays. Whoop whoop.
It looks awesome though. I like it.
Whoop whoop. This sounds like whoop. All right. Then I think we have 10-15 minutes left. Let's do a couple listener questions to pull out this podcast.
Sure, let's crack into the bag.
All right, let's crack the barrel and go for it. In solo queue, do you think 2-1-2 setup would work instead of having a jungler? No. I know that jungle provide a more efficient gold generation and gank ability for other lanes. Since people are used to how the game is played, maybe trying something different will provide a fresh feel.
Okay.
Beyond the fact that if you try this, it's going to annoy the crap out of your team, which makes solo queue a lot harder because part of the whole thing about playing a solo queue is stopping your team getting upset. So apart from that problem, the reality is no, it doesn't work.
Well, here's the other thing too. Say you do run a 2-1-2, and let's just for fun say that the enemy jungler is an Udyr that's running a Madstone build.
Yeah.
He is going to take every single camp, and he's never going to back.
Right.
And you just gave him more gold than anybody's ever seen in the entire history of this game in the first 20 minutes. You signed your own, surrender at 20 document right there.
Okay, so in it depends where you're at. I'm going to give him that. If you are in bronze or low silver, 100% you could run 2-1-2 to your heart's content because the enemy jungler has almost never has any clue how to deal with no other jungler on the map. Like, they don't realize they have free farm of 100 buffs and they can stagger the buffs properly to always have a buff up and they can...
No, here's the thing. Because there's too many douchebags smurfing out there like Little Banhammer. Running Pantheon jungle. Who know how to deal with that crap.
The Little Banhammer runs Pantheon mid. Thank you very much. The Little Banhammer shits on all the little crappy people that don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
No, it's true. I mean, I was going to make that point as well. That if you're in bronze, you can pretty much get away with anything, no matter how dumb the idea is. You can, if you're good enough. The main problem is, can your team capitalize on the fact that you have all those buffs? And that's the other thing is your own team is so used to having it.
And do you know how to gank a 2v1 lane?
Yeah. And in the end, you're still going to have to take Smite. Like, if you're the team that doesn't have the jungler, you still need to take Smite because unless you're willing to sort of sacrifice control of Dragon and Baron on top of the loss of all your camps and all your buffs. So, you know, I guess you could give it to a support, but support may be behind the other jungler since the other jungler can power farm, he'd be up in level, so his smite's better. So there's that as well. I mean, essentially, you just essentially have a 30-minute laning phase. Like that's what you'd aim to do. Like you wouldn't.
Right, that's what you want to have as that. Comp.
Yeah. If you want to go for 2-1-2, you'd have basically a full game length laning phase, which at Bronze 5 works.
Could happen.
They don't do anything else but lane in Bronze 5. But if you're in sort of even high Bronze and Silver, and people are starting to do rotations, you're going to really suffer. So
I wouldn't recommend.
I would know since I'm still in Bronze 2. Damn it!
I'm so sorry for you, pal. You'll get out. You just need the carry.
I'll let you get out. I'll get there. It's okay. I'll stop crying when I do.
Well, good, because I don't want. All right, on to the next
question. You can't see the
question.
dried tears on my face, but they're there. I'm telling you.
I imagine have you ever been to our cringe pics? Have you ever seen it, like where the people have the tears running down their face and they post the Facebook pictures, and I'm like, oh my god, like what is wrong with you people?
I cringe. My gosh.
The last 15 minutes of this podcast, complete total shit show. I love it. Nelson the Airman writes, I usually play support and I do well with most support champions. What kind of items should I be focusing with squishier support like Sona or Nami? Should I be focusing more on my defense or utility? Lee, you're up.
You probably want to go with utility. Really, if you're squishy, there's not much you can do about that. I mean, obviously, late in the game, you might take a Banshee's Veil or something like that. But, I mean, really, focus on what you're good at. You're going to die. That's okay. Sona and Nami, you're going to basically flash ult. Well, maybe not with Nami, but with Sona, you're going to flash ult. You've done your thing. You don't necessarily need to do much more. If you can get off anything more, that's great. Just focus on utility. Just be aware that if you buy lots of utility items that have active, it can be hard to learn that. I mean, even I've struggled. I've been playing support all this season, all last season, most of season 2, and even now I still struggle when I've got 5 active items. So just keep that in mind. Sona and Nami can do okay with a bit of AP. So going for a Morella Nomicon is probably not a bad idea. But yeah, don't worry about the squishiness. You're gonna die. Just deal with it.
If you're just gonna die, sometimes you just get your stuff off, and that's all you can do.
Yep, that's it. Actually, Nami is worth buying AP because with her the splashy thing, I can't even remember. I don't know what the name of the ability is. I don't use her. The one where it allows you to heal, like that actually splashy. Heals that when it bounces and heals the second person. That actually heals for quite a bit. So a bit of AP on Nami is actually not a bad idea.
You should pretty much be focusing on all support items on most people. If you're playing let's say you play Thresh or you play Leona, pick up items that are going to help the team. Random Wind Omen, Frozen Heart,
Locket,
absolutely Locket. Mikhail's Crucible on all of them.
Mikhail's is just
Six
really
Herald is
hard
actually
to
really
get
gold
good at
efficient
using.
and actually really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I actually always go for that. Yeah, it's got health, it's got CDR, and it helps your team. Like that's pretty much all you want.
If you have
in a tank support.
if you have
Ebb and Flow, that's the name of the ability, by the way.
a Yasuo mid, a Jax top, and like a Vi jungle, there's no reason not to get something like a Zeke's and just let your laners kill everything.
Oh yeah, Dom would be all over this right now,
I
telling
know.
you to do it. So,
oh the Zeeks.
It's good.
but
It does have the problem of not knowing how useful it is because it's an aura ability. I mean, that's something Riot have talked about is it doesn't, auras don't feel good, but trust me, Zeke's excellent. Anyway, Adam, do you want to go to the next question?
I'm thinking about this question because I feel like this question would open up a giant bag of worms
It's
about.
gonna take a while to answer that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna Charles R. Norris. Your question is on deck for the next podcast that we do because there's another question that came in about masteries, and I want to answer those together because we can talk about why you should know masteries for about 30 minutes. So
That's not what his question is.
Yeah, he's asking about mastery of a specific champion.
Not masteries.
Not
as far as
masteries.
the. He's just asking if you
Yeah,
should master one
It's all right.
champion.
After 100.
All right, you know what? We're in it.
Adam
We're in it
only
already.
just
Let's do
read
it.
So
Charles R. Norris writes, do you think the average listener would be better off focusing on the mastery of one specific champion, or are most players better off having larger pools?
There we go.
All right.
So, I am a big fan of you play one champion really well. You are probably going to do well if you get that champion. But in solo queue, you never know what role you're going to have to fill. So I'd recommend learning one champion of each role at least to start.
I'll agree with that, but here's my biggest thing. As you start to play this game and you start trying to learn more about the game, the best way to learn is to experience as many different things in the game as you can, so you get a better full understanding of, hey, this champion can do this, or this champion can't do this in a certain situation. So when you play against that champion, you know little tips and tricks that'll make it easier to kill that enemy champ in lane. You know when their power spikes are from having a familiarity with playing with or against that champion. The more diversity that you have as a player will open up the amount of knowledge that you have at the game as a whole, and that should theoretically make you a better player in the long run, as long as you... At the end of the day, the more you know about this game, the better you're probably going to do.
If you have the champ pool, or you've played all the champs, you have the time to play every single champion you can possibly play, then yeah, you're learning. That's the best way to learn how to fight against that champion, because you know your enemy. But in a time constraint or IP constraint, you know, if you're only playing casually, at least try to master a champion for
one
each
champion
role
per role.
And you can also pick champions that kind of cluster together in similar sorts of approaches. So, going back to support, you know, Sona, Nami, they're kind of in the same sort of field as supports. Morgana, Annie, Karma, they're very similar. Thresh, Leona, I guess, are quite similar. So you can, and that's the same with top and mid. You can kind of pick champs that kind of have a similar sort of build path or a similar sort of role in that position. So, and that certainly makes it easier to learn, because I mean, for myself, I play solo queue and I play support. So when I go into top, I mean, I kind of know Ryze, I kind of know Renekton. You know, so if I can't pick Renekton, then I might pick someone who's a bit similar. Or if I can't, you know, so I guess that's probably another way, because you can't. Nobody, unless you're 18 and you don't have a job, you know, or 17, you don't have a job. Like you just
go play the VG tournaments.
Yeah, you know, you can't spend all day playing. So you need to sort of maximize your time. And so picking something where you can kind of learn a bunch of skills that sort of work on a bunch of champions is probably a good way of maximizing your time.
Right. Yeah, I think you guys hit it on the head.
That answered it.
All right, let's do one last one.
Sounds good.
Okay. Grib19910 writes in, I am a top lane main and previously focused on late game carries such as Jax and Singed. With Singed not being massively valuable due to the nerfs of his ultimate a long time ago and the resurgence of Jax making him banned consistently, what are your thoughts on where Irelia stands?
Irelia is really strong right now.
I think Irelia is really strong in solo queue right now and in normal play. She has her places in fives and teams. Ranked fives, you can get away with it, actually, because it's not going to have the same level of coordination that an LCS does. But if we're speaking specifically from a solo queue play, I think Irelia is a good one to pick up, along with Renekton, Shyvana, and Jax at this point, and Olaf to an extent. A lot of people don't see Irelia out there, so if you can master her, much like Wicked has, you can play her into any matchup and turn that into an advantageous matchup for you. She has, with her heat and style, she does a lot of trade potential.
Built-in sustain.
She has built-in sustain with it. She has a built-in stun if you allow them to do more damage to you than you do to them right off the bat. And
there is arguably no champion who can farm better under turret than Irelia can with Blade Surge.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
She has everything you could want in a solo queue environment. You just have to realize that she's a little bit weak for the first 3 or 4 levels, when you can go back and start working on that Trinity Force. Or I think some people are building her with like 3 or 4 Doran's Blades and then going to the Trinity Force, right?
The route, there's this guy who plays Aurelia only in Challenger actually put his play style, his build, his masteries, and what he typically does in every game that he plays on Reddit. about a month and a half ago, and he basically said that every game he gets 2 Doran's blades and a Doran shield just because they synergize with her kit so well. That's all you need early until you go right into either a T-Force or a Frozen Heart, or if you need to, a Blade of the Rune King.
She builds similarly to Jax, where she build Blade of the Rune King and Triforce into defense.
Almost exactly like Jax.
So that's a good transition if you're a Jax player.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, it really is. Yeah,
So give her a go.
I don't mind that, but I don't normally like building more than one Doran's item. Like, I understand why you might do it to get that early advantage, but I could see it if you plan on sitting in lane for a while, building 2 Doran's blades and a Doran's shield, because she's getting life off each auto attack plus the kill, and then she's getting passive regen with the shield, so it makes a lot of sense. My only problem with that is you never know how long laning phase is going to last in a solo queue game. So you're just banking on a longer solo queue phase when you build those 3 items straight off the bat. So just realize that whatever you build, that's a whole other conversation for another time. Is that whatever you build, you're banking on a certain piece of the game to happen in a certain way.
But that's the great thing about top. You can bank on having a longer laning phase if you're a top player.
Another thing people will do is
yeah.
they'll rush a Trinity Force right off the bat, and then they'll basically leave top lane alone unless somebody's right on the turret, and they'll roam and try and pick up or force kills to happen in other areas of the map, which is something Aurelia is actually really good at because she has very high damage for her amount of tankiness.
High damage and decent mobility.
Well, and she has a decent bit of sustain when she finally gets her ult too, where she can do some kind of cheesy stuff.
Yeah.
But
I think that pretty much covers Aurelia. So, Carrot, why don't you give us a rundown of Ozzy and what you guys do so people know who you are again?
Sure. Okay. So we release once a week. At this stage, we don't do a live. We don't stream it live because we just don't have the gear to do it yet. But we're working towards that. So we release once a week. Usually, we have in the past been on Friday. This week it was on a Wednesday, just because I felt like it, and it's my show, and I can do what I want.
all right,
so
Adam.
it's
Nice.
The thing that he has that the LCS guys don't have is that it's his show and he can do what he wants because he had it before I came in.
Yeah.
So I told him
I think podcast hosts have like a similar set of qualities, and it's just an
the great thing
incredibly
about being a reporting
fragile ego, like fragile need to sort of have the positive feedback, but also a strong dominance. Just it's my show. Anyway, so it's myself, Clerical Error or Steve. He's my long-term co-host, and he's sort of a meta guy. He does a lot of analysis about meta, and he watches a lot of games. And then we have another guy, Ralph or Vesp. He has joined in the last few weeks, and that's been working out pretty well, as Adam would say.
Well, he's now an official member of the podcast because he has a microphone. So if you wanted to kick him off, he's just shit out of luck. I put him on. So your podcast is now my podcast, motherfucker.
Flexing that EP.
No.
Yeah, that's it. He's got a network now, so it's not just one podcast. He's got a network.
They got a network of them.
They're all doomed. And we mainly focus on the oceanic scene in terms of our discussion of esports. It is small, but it is growing, I think. We're looking forward to the Winter Regionals, which is from the winner of that tournament goes to the wildcard tournament in Germany and hopefully into Worlds. Hopefully the Aussie team goes into Worlds. So that's pretty exciting. So we basically, our pattern has been, we talk about esports, we talk about patch notes, we talk about esports, we talk about patch notes, because it seems to be alternating. So I think we might actually even move to just 2 shows so we can talk about something that's not patch notes or esports. But yeah, we do talk about the game as well as the oceanic. So if you think, oh, well, I don't care about the oceanic scene, well, don't worry. We actually talk about the game, and we try to bring the analysis of what we see, a bit like what T-Force does across the podcast.
Right.
We try to bring in an analysis about esports into regular games. So it's really good fun, and I think we have a great time, and Americans really love our accents. I don't know why, but they do. So if you think we sound great,
They're going to
You
sound
love
better.
our accents?
well, it's weird because
Do we sound like
all our
Yanks
TV
to
shows
you?
are American. It's just like whatever. Like it doesn't seem.
Do we
any
all sound like
different.
hillbillies or something? Or
No, it's
Well, to Claude, you sound like a hillbilly.
Adam
I mean.
does, but
He is from Kentucky.
he's from Kentucky.
Yeah, Adam.
I don't know. It's really weird. Like it I guess we're so used to it because we see like all our TV shows are American. So it's kind of not unusual. Where I guess for you guys, you don't really hear Australian accents a whole lot.
We don't.
Yeah, you're all the way down under.
The only accents we hear are like Boston and South.
Yeah. And probably Canadian to an extent as
Well,
I imagine.
like apparently, well, there's definitely an Ohio accent. Every region in the United States has an accent. People call me out all the time. They're like, "Oh, you have a weird accent." You know, you just get used to being around Michigan, but then when you go back to Michigan, you hear it. So everybody has an accent in one way or another. But that's just a podcast for another time.
Yeah, they need an Outback Nautilus skin because out of all the champions, he's really down under.
Nice. That's nice.
There it is, guys.
And
And that's it. That's all, folks.
Take us out.
That's it, guys. See you all next week. That was episode 167.
All right, bye.
Peace.